Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals at your service. Glad you joined us today. This is the only show in the metro area that talks about business expansion, real estate construction, really anything related to Omaha becoming more vibrant and more prosperous and perhaps a little bit bigger as well. Shout out to our sponsors, Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics, the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym. And got to tell you, my co-host Trenton Magid has the weekend off celebrating a family wedding, but in his stead is a familiar name. Our guest co-host today is Craig Wolf, the owner of Cheer Athletics. Good morning, Craig. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jeff. Glad to be back again. Always fun to be on the show. You know, as I was driving in this morning, I'm thinking Trenton and Jeff do this every Saturday morning, whether rain, sleet, or shine, right? How many years have you guys been doing the show now?
We're not keeping track too closely or anything like that, but 20 years and 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are always talking about, the current events in Omaha, what the future holds. I think there should be a show where I come in and do an interview of you guys. Let's be nostalgic and talk about those 20 years and the great things that have happened over the time for the growth of Omaha and your guests you had, and maybe even bring in somebody like Hal Dobb to talk about that, the architect of Omaha kind of thing, and it would be fun to do.
Kind of like a Grow Omaha, This Is Your Life, hosted by Craig Wolf.
Well, you know what? I don't even have to do it. I just want to hear it. I want to hear from you guys on the 20 years of Omaha, because we've had tremendous things happen here over the last 20 years.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, in the time that this show has been on the air, there has been no shortage of topics for us to address. And I don't want to jinx anything, but there has never even been a single week where we haven't had plenty of topics to address.
So what you're saying is we need a 2-hour show, not an hour show. It's
been contemplated, but it's not going to happen because it already takes a pretty big chunk out of the Saturday.
Yeah.
But we could definitely fill it. We could, and Craig and I go way back to 1974, to be specific.
That's right.
I've known you since 1974. A lot of our listeners are not even close to have being born in 1974.
No, this is true. Yeah, we grew up together as neighbors off of 84th and Center, Arbor and Gold Street, and West Side kids, and it's been a great run, and look at you now. You're famous, worldwide famous.
And look at you now. Hey, I want to bring on our third person of our broadcast team this weekend. Isaiah Ong is our reporter who covers the planning board, City of Omaha, building permits, construction. He also monitors planning boards and city council in Bellevue and Council Bluffs. And Isaiah, I'm excited to introduce you to everyone. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning, Jeff. I'm glad to be here today. Appreciate the invite. I try to stay anonymous for the most part, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here and help with the show today.
A lot of people who read our newsletter, which comes out every Thursday afternoon, will notice when they scroll down to the snippets section. Our snippets section is basically, we chose snippets because they're little bits and pieces of classic Grow Omaha news where we talk about construction and development. And on there, it'll say Isaiah Ong, contributing writer. That's mostly your work when they get to that snippets area. And Isaiah, we'll talk a little bit more about you and some of the stories you covered in the last week in the next segment. But before we do that, we need to get into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They've been in the business for well north of 30 years. Holly Schneiderwind runs the place, and along with her team, they do a fantastic job of taking care of their clients. Eagle Mortgage is the company you want to call if you're thinking about buying a new house. Big investment, big deal. Most people only buy a handful of houses in their entire life. So if you're thinking about doing that, get a hold of Eagle Mortgage. You want to get yourself a pre-approval letter. It's kind of like going into battle with a shield and a sword. And it'll really help you because sometimes these housing things can still be competitive even to this day. You can find Eagle Mortgage in person at 114th and Davenport or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Craig and Isaiah are going to join me for for the news, and our first story is it's kind of cool. It's a good sign of what can happen as we try to bolster economic development in North and South Omaha. Pacific Engineering, which is a manufacturing company out of Lincoln, is opening up a 52,000 square foot manufacturing facility at 5902 North 9th Street. So that's a little bit west of Epley Airfield and north of Storrs Expressway. But what's unique about this is it is part of the North and South Omaha recovery grants from the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. They're receiving $10 million for this. And gentlemen, I see this as an encouraging sign, especially as we're talking about creating an inland port around Epley Airfield. We desperately need to get more jobs in the heart of the city, and this seems to be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, this area I think is within that inland port area, and so having a large employer like that come in and make that kind of commitment, I think is super important for that moving forward. North Omaha. We've talked about this in the past, but history of disinvestment, and it's nice to see private employers, private investment going into North Omaha, especially at that scale.
And then we're going to shift our gears now from Northeast Omaha all the way out to Gretna. Bit of a drive, but nevertheless, we had some really exciting news this week. League One Volleyball, which is one of the two professional volleyball teams in Omaha this year, announced plans to build a 66,000 square foot training facility called the Love Hub Omaha. League One Volleyball, their logo is like LOV, and it's kind of an E, kind of a B. So it's like Love Hub Omaha, League One Volleyball Hub Omaha. This team is launching in January of 2025. They'll join the Omaha Supernovas as two major league professional volleyball teams in Omaha. We're going to actually talk about something about the Supernovas here a little bit later in the show. But Craig, this League One volleyball facility will be just north of Highway 370 and west of 192nd Street. Also happens to be the same general area where you're going to be building a cheer athletics gym.
Yeah, that's right. This is just a great area of town, that 192nd corridor all the way to 204th and 370. You know, you've got the greatest Hy-Vee in the world. You got Fleet Farm coming in. Now you've got the Premier Group is coming in for volleyball, and we're developing a 34-acre spot along 198th and 370 to put a new cheer athletics in over the next 24 to 36 months. So what a phenomenal area. Mayor Mike Evans is doing a great job there.
And Craig, I don't know, we can't necessarily have you say what they are, but in addition to this League One volleyball and cheer athletics, and of course, eventually in maybe a couple of years, we expect Fleet Farm to open there. You and the other people involved in that it's my understanding you're working with some pretty good brands and some big businesses.
Yes. We're in the process right now of doing our due diligence. We've already got some organizations that have committed to the development. I cannot talk about who that is right now, but right around, I think, the first of the year, we'll be breaking big news of who's going to be in our 34 acres. And let me just say, the people, especially of Gretna in that area, should be very excited.
All right. Well, we will anticipate what that might be as the next couple of months go on. Well, we had some interesting news about the Omaha rental market. There's an organization called Rent Cafe, which covers apartment news, multifamily news, and recent survey. Rent Cafe surveyed 137 U.S. rental markets, and Omaha was one of them. And as it turns out, the plan was to determine just how competitive these rental markets are and which ones are the most competitive. And when we're saying competitive, we're talking about how many people essentially compete for available units because we have a shortage of housing units in this country. And as you're about ready to find out, certainly in this metropolitan area, Omaha's number 7 out of 137, the 7th most competitive rental market. And get this, an average of 13 prospective renters compete for each available rental unit in Omaha. What about the rest of the top 10? The most competitive market was suburban Chicago, followed by Miami-Dade, then Milwaukee, then Bridgeport, New Haven, and Connecticut. Number 5 was City of Chicago. 6 was North New Jersey, 7 Omaha, 8 suburban Philadelphia, followed by Manhattan, New York, and then the borough of Brooklyn, New York. Isaiah, when you look at something like this, you can see it from two perspectives. If you're looking at the health of the city, good sign.
Right.
If you're a department developer or landlord, good sign. If you're a tenant, it's getting expensive.
Yeah, and that's, I think I've seen other reports regarding the growth of rental rates, and we're still definitely one of the fastest, which again, for that first half of the group that you're talking about, definitely positive. For users or for residents, that it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and you want to strike this balance because it's good to have this healthy growth, and when the real estate investment world does good, the economy does well. But yeah, you do find yourself being concerned about affordability, guys. I think this also tells us, because we've been hearing statistics kind of like this for a couple of years now, yet a couple of years ago our population was not growing as fast as it had been.
Yeah.
I suspect something is picking up because someone is creating a demand for all these rental units, because it seems to me like we're building apartment units like they're going out of style.
Right, and that building apartment boost hasn't stopped. So I agree. There's numbers that aren't adding up, and I think that we are growing at least a steady pace.
And I think when you talk about 13 people for every available apartment, just in general, everyday conversations, you say to each other, geez, an apartment building's going up and it's full, like by, within a couple of months. And now that this makes sense to us, and with interest rates higher, maybe people are continuing to look at the apartment just to save a little money. But there's no doubt that where are all the people coming from? So
Yeah,
That's a good question.
Who the hell are all these people, and where are they coming from? We're glad they're here. We just need to build a lot more housing units for them, really fast too. We need to do it really fast. Well, Craig, for a couple of West Side grads, this is a hard story for us to bring up, but nevertheless, we want to congratulate all of our friends who are alumni of Burke High School, because they're
we love everyone.
Oh, wait, our board producer Bill is a Burke alum. Okay, we better be nice. All right, so congrats to Burke High students, alums, and staff, because they are getting a very thoroughly renovated outdoor sports facility. They have the very big football stadium where the state track meet has held every year, but that thing is being completely renovated, and when it's all said and done, it's going to be a pretty special place. And I would imagine, you love youth sports, Craig, which we'll talk about later in the show, some youth sports stuff. It's great to see OPS making that facility in their biggest stadium.
Absolutely. It's long overdue, and especially with the state track meet there, that this will be a phenomenal add to that area, to the city. What's the timeline on that, Jeff?
They're not playing football there this fall, but it needs to be ready for state track next spring. So my guess is they're going to get the let out, and they're going to hustle, and those guys will be working pretty hard and pretty fast there to get that thing ready for next spring. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Isaiah about a few growth and development stories coming out of City Hall in the last week. You don't want to miss any of that. You're listening to Jeff Beals, joined by Craig Wolf and Isaiah Ong. Trenton Magid has the weekend off for a family wedding. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and cheer athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals in the studio, joined by my friend since kindergarten, Craig Wolf, who also happens to be the owner of Cheer Athletics and a few other entrepreneurial endeavors. We're also joined by Isaiah Ong, who does our reporting on Grow Omaha for building permits and planning board and city council and things like that. And we're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and the aforementioned Cheer Athletics. Craig, where can we find Cheer Athletics if we're driving around looking for the place?
We are located off of Highway 50 and 370, right across from the National Cemetery. We have a 30,000 square foot facility, beautiful facility. So come on out and visit us. We'd love to see you.
In beautiful Papillion, Nebraska. So Isaiah, we're writing some articles for Grow Omaha is not the only thing you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. My day job is as a commercial underwriter at Title Core National, which is a part of NP Dodge Real Estate. Title Core National provides title, insurance, and escrow services. I specifically work on the commercial side. I have the opportunity to work with all the great developers, agents, and attorneys in town. We have a really great commercial real estate ecosystem, and that's kind of what I do. I report only on things that are made public. Just to put that out.
Just to make sure the clients are comfortable.
We're working on a lot of confidential things. I don't report on anything that I'm seeing across my desk. But there's a lot of exciting things happening in town, and so I'm glad to be a part of being able to talk about it, the things that are out there.
Well, tell us how you ended up in Omaha, because you're not originally from here.
Yeah, right. I didn't grow up in Omaha. I actually grew up on the West Coast. My dad was in the military. My family had eventually settled in Hawaii. And a lot of people ask, why did you come here? I came here for grad school, me and my wife. And when we came here, my wife was pregnant. And when we had our first kid and then our second kid and so on and so forth, we really decided that Omaha would be a great place to raise a family, and it has been.
Well, we love that. So that's for all of you out there who are, interested in helping us recruit talent. What we need them to do is when they come to Creighton University, find a spouse and have kids, and then we can lock them down. And,
right.
And next thing you know, they're writing for Grow Omaha. So Isaiah, let's talk a little bit about a couple of the things that you had in the Grow Omaha newsletter this week. Sure. There's a few of them I wanted to highlight, and one that might be a little bit disappointing for some people, but it's still important. There was talk about having this very impressive sports and recreation facility on the south side, east of I-480. It's got to be something different.
Yes, that one. So the original developer, it was a pretty short timeline. They announced in 2021 that they were going to do something really interesting. Mental health and wellness and recreational center. It was supposed to be over $100 million, joining so many other $100 million investments of that nature, like the Jocelyn, the library. Unfortunately, this one fell through, and it was already an industrial site, historically speaking, and Crushing It, which is a concrete recycler, is now looking into developing that site for crushing concrete.
Well, and that's an important part of the economy. So we have nothing against that company because we need those firms. But I think it's also a good chance for us to point out that not every development happens, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you can't. It's kind of like your favorite sports team isn't going to win all of them.
Exactly, and another way to look at it, it wasn't really used, and now it will at least be used for some kind of economic.
Yeah, it'll be an economic producer. Right. So 33rd and Mason Street, looks like we might have a townhome development in the works there.
Yeah, that area, there were several lots that were developed for townhomes. Unfortunately, the previous developer was not able to complete this one, but there's a new developer taking over. I think that it's actually a reduction in number of townhomes that was previously anticipated, but 15 townhomes on a 22,000 square foot lot, 18,000 square foot units, pretty decent size, especially for that area. and they all have garage spaces, which is important for a lot of people who are interested in purchasing homes. So it'll be interesting to see that one go up and how they turn out.
We talk a lot about the development in the urban core here. It's a major focus of Omaha. It's a major focus for the city and the chamber and the business community. And it seems like, fortunately, almost every week we have a new thing to talk about in the urban core. This one is an apartment project near 35th and Howard Street, Isaiah.
Yeah, this is a previously approved project. They're currently looking to get TIF funds. 15 residential units ranging from studios to 2 bedrooms. What we're seeing, and we talked about one previously a couple of months ago, they're building on smaller footprints and higher.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing to, that's what we want, because in that urban core, we need density, so that we can maximize the land and the infrastructure we have there and increase economic activity and not have to knock down too many cornfields. So, Isaiah, appreciate you bringing us up to speed with some of those development projects. And that brings us already to the middle of the show. It's time for our news break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a few other things. We have our commercial real estate development spotlight from Noddle Companies, and we're also going to talk with Craig Wolf about a couple of exciting happenings in the youth sports industry here in Omaha. You're listening to Grow Omaha. We have Craig Wolf of Cheer Athletics and Isaiah Ong from Title Core National, and also our City Hall reporter, if you will, for Grow Omaha. Trenton has the weekend off. We're brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center, and we'll be back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. I am enjoying my weekend, Jim Rose, because I'm on the radio with about 12,000 of my favorite people right now. I'm also joined with Craig Wolf, the owner of Cheer Athletics, and Isaiah Ong, who covers City Hall news for Grow Omaha, among other things. Show's brought to you by Cheer Athletics. We'll talk more about Cheer Athletics in a moment, but also Dingman's Collision Center. They are the name in collision repair. I have 4 metro area locations, Northwest Omaha, 144th and L, downtown Papillion, Saddle Creek, not far from the Med Center. All of them do a great job. Unfortunately, Trenton and I have both had to bring our wounded cars into Dingman's, and every time we have, they've always done amazing. I was going to say they've done a bang-up job, but that might not go over so well. They've done a great job, and we highly recommend them, and we love the people that work there and are thrilled to have them as part of the team. All right, it's time for your commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, brought to you by Noddle Companies. You know Noddle Companies. They are community focused. Like if you're watching Husker games or listening to Husker games, Noddle Companies is pro Huskers. If you're into Creighton, Noddle Companies takes care of the Creighton Blue Jays. They are just involved in the community. They're so community focused. They build parks in Exarban Village for people just to hang out and enjoy themselves. They do a great job. Now, what do they do for actual business? Build things, beautiful projects, beautiful buildings. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about the headquarters for HDR or if you're talking about the Builders District downtown, they do all of that. So what Noddle Companies project are we looking at today? Exarban Village, perhaps their most famous one. And we start with a little bit of bad news, but there's always a silver lining in every piece of bad news. The bad news is that Jones Bros Cupcakes will be closing its Exarban Village store Monday. They've been there since 2010, so good 14-year run. Now, if you are a fan of Jones Bros, don't worry. They're still going to be around. They're still going to have their West Road store. They also will still offer all of their catering services. And they tell us that they are actively looking for a new site that they hope to announce by late 2025. Now, if you're a fan of Exarban Village, don't worry. That space should not stay empty long. I talked with Noddle Companies yesterday, and they're already talking with a few different tenants, all of which would be restaurants. And while they can't divulge, obviously, the names, they said we would like them. If one of them ends up being the one that goes in there, people would be pretty happy. And that is your Noddle Companies Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week. You can learn more about Noddle Companies by going simply enough to noddlecompanies.com. Well, like I said, we have Isaiah Ong and Craig Wolf with us here today. Craig is the owner of Cheer Athletics. And also, but that's not the only youth sports and athletics interest that he has. Craig, just real briefly, tell us about your basketball business.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Before I get into the basketball business, I want to talk about an exciting announcement that we have today. Over the last several weeks, I've been talking with the Supernovas, and we're excited to announce today, breaking news, this is not public until now, that the Omaha Supernovas and Cheer Athletics are formally partnering to have a professional cheer and hype team for every home game coming up in the 2025 season, which runs January to May. So as the college volleyball season is winding down there in December, the Supernovas pick up. And so we are very excited to break that news. We are going to have a tryouts for this team. You have to be 18 by May 1st in order to participate on the team. Tryouts, and we'll put this out on social media, will be November 3rd and November 10th at Cheer Athletics from 6:30 in the evening to 8:30. And so if you're interested in participating in what really is Omaha's first and only professional actual cheer team. We're not going to be quite the Laker girls right out of the gate, but who knows what happens here as
I believe in you.
We're going to get there, right? And so we're excited to announce this. The Supernovas, I've been working with Travis Payne and Jeff Hogan and Grant Gallo from that organization. We're really excited. They're excited as well to enhance the family experience, not only of great volleyball, but we're going to have a lot of fun with this cheer and hype team during the games.
So it's kind of like how the Lakers or the NFL teams have cheerleaders. They're not kids. These are grown-ups that are doing the cheerleading. They
will be athletes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we're going to put the show on.
Well, very cool. All right. Well, that is very good news, and we'll enjoy having that amenity at the Supernovas games this year. And then, Craig, also some of the other youth sports stuff that you're involved in these days.
Sure. So I'm co-owner of AEF, which stands for Attitude, Effort, and Focus Basketball Academy, with Andy Beck, Rachel Bloom, Isaac Simpson just joined our team. And we have a facility off of 99th and Portal, which main road-wise is about 108th and Giles there in Papillion. And we're coming into the fall and winter season. In fact, NBA exhibition games have already started. I'm like, weren't the finals just last week or something? A
couple days ago.
Yeah,
feels like it.
It's just amazing how fast time goes. And so, at AEF, we the youth sports world. Let's talk about the youth sports world. So, with AEF and Cheer Athletics, we opened these organizations because what I saw in youth sports is not good. It's a money grab. And in fact, the New York Times reported that back in February that only 34% of the poorest families were able to have their kids in some type of youth sports, where the wealthiest families were at 68% of their kids were participated in youth sports outside of school. And that's a problem. And with the cost of youth sports today, that gap, unless we get this under control right now, that gap is going to continue to spread. And what better way to invest in our youth and teach them about life skills and how to handle adversity than through sports? Obviously, education is very important, but when you get into those tense moments, I'll ask my son, how did you feel in this, last drive of the game, or, that you had to stop or you had to carry the ball? And, he says, I'm so nervous. Well, it's those, right? Yeah. It's those types of moments that get them a little bit of an experience for them to carry on into adulthood.
Yeah, and we've been hearing also too, not only about the accessibility for people of different backgrounds into to youth sports. One of the things we hear a lot about here in Omaha is that we have been behind some of the other metro areas facility-wise, and it seems like you and a lot of other people lately have been working really hard to maybe catch us up or even get ahead.
I was really surprised. I spent 30 years in the corporate world with C&A Industries, Arias Medical, in healthcare staffing. And as the good Lord turned my attention to the youth sports world, how broken it was, that it's a money grab, that we're not pouring enough into these kids. And so I thought somebody's got to carry the flag to be change here. And so one thing that is absolutely clear is that we just don't have the sports facilities that cities like Des Moines, Kansas City, Denver, obviously Denver's a lot bigger, but even Sioux City, Sioux Falls, there is a huge opportunity here for this city to have an opportunity to bring in sports complexes. I think that the city leaders, the state leaders, and the legislature, they've done an okay job, right? But what's more important than investing into our youth and creating opportunities and facilities for these youth to be a part of? We complain that kids are on their phones too much today, and heck, we all are. Kids are on their Xbox today. Well, there are organizations that have to cut kids that want to participate in sports because we don't have the facilities. And so myself and Jeff Week and Burr Carr and our development team, we are going to be the change in this. And I'll just say this, if you're interested in being part of that change, I'd love to hear from you because we've got to change this. We've got to have more sports facilities, volleyball, basketball, baseball, soccer. We don't have futsal in the winter. We don't have anywhere for these kids to play. Futsal is the winter sport for soccer. So there's a huge opportunity here.
All right, and with that, we are going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, it'll be your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round. In the meantime, you've been listening to Jeff Beals, Craig Wolf, and Isaiah Ong. Trenton Magid has the weekend off. We'll be back on News Radio 1110 KFAB right after this. And it's the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round here on News Radio 1110 KFAB, in which we talk about a lot of things in a very short period of time. Thanks to Perkins Kreitzer Construction for bringing it to you. If you listen regularly, you've heard Dave Kreitzer on this show. He and his team do a great job of building out so many different retail and restaurant bays. But they do bigger things too, healthcare facilities, strip centers, offices, warehouses, churches. They build it all. And Perkins Kreitzer Construction will do this here in the metro area, and then they extend out well into Nebraska and well into Iowa, and they do a fantastic job. They have so many talented people with years and years of experience, and you can find out more about Perkins Kreitzer Construction by going to their website, which is p-cconstruction.com. All right, we have Craig Wolf and Isaiah Ong here substituting for Trenton Magid. And guys, we've got a bunch of things here. We've got Starbucks under construction at 122nd and Fort Street. Isaiah, this is probably about the 7th or 8th Starbucks under construction we've reported on in the last 2 months.
Yeah, they're just on a roll. They just won't stop. They love Omaha.
And this is even when we're putting up scooters on every block.
Yep.
Yeah, my kids love Starbucks.
They're keeping it in business. Former CVS on the northeast corner of 108th and Fort is going to become a Dollar Tree. That's probably going to be about the 20th or 21st Dollar Tree in the metro area. Centrist Credit Union planning a branch office in the Coventry development southwest of 204th and Q. We reported a few weeks ago that Woolner's would be closing in Midtown Crossing. It has happened. There's a sign on the door. A lot of people pretty sad about that one.
Yeah, we're now we're really missing a grocery store of that size in the urban core. So whenever the rumored grocery store, we need it ASAP.
Yeah, desperately needed. And like you said, Isaiah, there are rumors, so we're keeping our eyes and ears open. Okay, we have Grace Pizza and Shakes, which has opened its first Nebraska location in downtown Papillion. This is inside the old county courthouse from the year 1875 in downtown Papillion. The restaurant, as the name would indicate, coal-fired pizza and, quote, over-the-top, end quote, milkshakes. They have locations in Texas and Florida. Local culinary scene got a nice boost this week when Rooted Table Kitchen opened in Countryside Village. This is a plant-based restaurant offering cold-pressed juices and organic foods made with little to no oils, natural sweeteners, but a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. Roll 'em Up Taquitos plans to open in Southport West. That's the part of La Vista by Cabela's and Embassy Suites. It will be small space just west of Charred Burger and Bar. Okay, a lot of people excited about this. Hot Pot 88 announced plans to open in mid-October. This Asian cuisine restaurant occupies a site where Stoysich House of Sausages stood for several decades. Big restaurant, and as the name 88, Hot Pot 88 would indicate, it's part of like Hero and some of those other restaurants in town. All right, what else do we have? Isaiah, you keep your pulse on the development world and what people are thinking about it. And this mega saver that's been planned for 72nd and Dodge has caused a little bit of controversy. A lot of people are not thrilled about it. It's taking over the former Fuddruckers space on the southeast corner. Construction on that thing has started.
Oh, yeah. We need gas stations, unfortunately. I don't want to opine whether that's a good location or not. I'm sure it's a good location for the business.
Yeah, they'll do well there.
Yeah, they'll do very well. As for the neighbors, I know it's not something you want to see, but they also offer convenience store, and I don't know if they'll have their European delicatessen. The concept that they have at their other locations, that is a thing. I don't know if you've ever been at Mega Saver. Huh. Yeah, they have European products. Some of them even have like a grill that they sell gyros and other prepared foods.
Knock me over with a feather. I did not see that one coming. Yeah, so a lot of people are thinking, we're building this gorgeous architectural masterpiece of a library, and then across the street will be a mega saver. But what do you do? All right, some bad news, some closings. Old Chicago has closed both locations. The Pizza Pie Guys on North 156th Street also closed recently as well. Sorry to leave you on a down note, but have a good weekend. At any rate, we've had Craig Wolf and Isaiah Ong here substituting. Thanks, guys.
Go Big Red.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
All right, Craig Wolf and Isaiah Ong with us. Trenton will be back next week. Hope everyone has a great weekend. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.